we'll start with the approval of the agenda, any additions or corrections? Mel, anything? No, fine. I've got a couple here. We're gonna remove F1, the CETA contract. We're gonna wait till we get an evaluation form for that and evaluate that for the next year. We'll remove F1, add F2, park board update. Dan's gonna give a little update from the last meeting. And I've got 2 changes to the minutes on the consent agenda. One is on the first page of the minutes, the following were also present. Brandon was listed as being here and he was not, so we're gonna strike City Engineer Theobald. And on page 3, third of the way down, under the engineer's report, 16th Street roundabout, the last sentence should read, if MnDOT would have initiated the project, then they would pay a greater portion. So a greater portion needs to be added to the end and get rid of have to. That's all I've got there. Wayne, anything?
Nothing there.
Dan, anything else? Nancy?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda with the changes.
How about the agenda first?
Oh, okay.
Will you approve the agenda?
Let's do that too.
Okay, so
Okay.
we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Dan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? On to the consent agenda.
I'll do that too.
Okay. So we have a
With
motion
the
to-
changes.
Oh, with the changes, all right. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Lonnie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Visitors of council, Chuck.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate this. This is great.
Chuck, if you wanna go to the tablet and page down for the screen, and,
Page down.
yeah, you can bring your notes and
Oh,
stand
should I
over
just
there, we
stand over
just
there?
page to go from slide to slide, and I'll have a handout shortly here to copy it.
Sorry, Chuck.
No, that's
Switching computers here.
Maybe.
Paging down here.
Just hit down.
Oh, all right. All right, Green Step. Our Green Step, we're involved with Green Step Cities. I think some of you probably know about this and everything. And our Green Step Cities assistant program for all Minnesota cities that supports and recognizes implementations of 29 sustainable best practices, all right? And what this means is we're out there to try and save energy and try and find better ways to use our energy for the city and for the citizens of the city. And there are some categories here. Buildings and lighting is one. Land use is another one. Transportation is one. Environmental management is one. And economic and community development is one. That's the one I kind of want to focus on right now. Mel has an electric vehicle. I have a hybrid. Does anybody else have anything
Hybrid.
plug-in or anything else like that? All right. So, there's a lot of benefits to electric vehicles. You save money, it's cheaper, they're cheaper to maintain, reduce emissions, better for the environment, better for our health. Safety, they've got a lower, say, less tip over, you know, they're lower to the ground. And there's definitely a need. The need is growing, very, very much. Like the charging stations are, they can attract customers, depending on where you have them. There's advertising opportunities. You've got a charging station, you can have signs, billboards, everything else you want to by for the city. The disadvantages, there's charging issues, locations, time, ranges. I mean, a lot of people, and I've heard you talk about this, they rate their trips to where their stations are. You know, because like I can go down, I get 525 miles with my hybrid, I can go down to Illinois in one shot. Whereas the electric vehicles, I don't know if you can make it that far or not.
No.
But they have to stop, recharge, and continue on. So, disadvantage. And monitor abusers, well, I've never really looked into that because we don't really have anything to, you know, for anybody, how they abuse them or anything like that, but it's
You mean
just
charging abusers?
chargers abusers. so.
People that come and, like, if you have a free public charger, an abuse would be someone who could plug it in their own garage, but they don't, because why do that when you can get it for free?
I suppose, yeah. But this is totally new to myself and everything, so we're just kinda baby stepping it here, all right? So there's two types, there's actually more, there's four levels of charging, but we're gonna deal with, just a couple here, level 1 and level 2. And then there's the fast chargers. Start, share, and charge hub apps and locations in a trip planner, especially for the Teslas. So I'm not gonna reread all this and everything else like that, but there's just a couple of samples up there for different types of vehicles, and for level 1 and level 2 for charging and charging distances. The colder it is, obviously, the worse it is. I find that out with my hybrid too. My fuel engine runs a lot more in the cold than my electric engine does, obviously. So, yeah. There's an app you can go on, and it shows all the locations in the United States where chargers are at. Now, I don't know, Nancy pointed out Casson at one time.
The little blue dot. Over,
Right here.
yeah.
You notice there's no stations other than Rochester. Well, we wanna put one up, we wanna try and get one started here. And that's what this is all about. The initial cost. These stations have dropped dramatically in price. When we started looking at this, a regular, level 2 charger was like $5 to $8 grand. And a fast charger was like 30. It was pretty high. And they're starting to drop. As you can see, a fast charger is 20,000. A level 2 charger is 3 to 5. So they have really dropped in price. The charger we were looking at is a Clipper Creek Share 2, level charger 2, and that has, it's a 208 or 240 volt amp, a supply circuit is needed to run this. It's got 25 feet of charging cables, and it's $1,400 or $1,500. That was, when we saw that price, we went, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding. That's awesome. That's really awesome. The pedestal, the dual mount kit was $160. An additional but yet undetermined cost, which is what we're gonna have to work with the city here, is boring. We gotta, if we end up boring underneath something, instead of the $8 a foot, what it would cost for a wire. The concrete, depending on what size pad we wanted or how many pads we wanted, metal, a meter pedestal or a meter, and the electrician's cost. So those still have to be figured out. But we're figuring the whole total price should not be more than $5,000, and that's high. That's kind of what we're thinking, and it could definitely be lower than that. Red Wing has them. Really nice guys. I don't know if you've been to Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee has them here. A couple other places in Rochester. And the one particular one we're kind of looking at is, it would be a setup like this. 2 stalls, 1 charger, 2 cords. For potential sites, it's not the liquor store, it's the city parking lot. And I was mentioned this afternoon. But we looked all over the place. Casey's wasn't interested in having one. Quick Trip wasn't interested in having one. We thought about the hotel. People stay overnight. You got the restaurant right next door. But they didn't get anything back from them. We looked up around town, the Birdmans, everything else. You know, wherever you want to go, wherever we were looking, there's going to be requiring some digging. You can't have cables hanging over sidewalks or anything else like that. So we got with Kathy at the liquor store, and we talked about the parking lot, the city parking lot, and the south side along the railroad tracks. about halfway between the liquor store and 57. That site right there, there's already a utility cable running through there by the track itself, isn't there? Something like that?
Jared said there was,
Jared
that's really
said-
for,
And there'd be a connection right there. It'd be far enough away for the, delivery trucks for the liquor store to come in and swing around and do what they want. Still far enough away from the handicap spots, from the regular parking anyways. And that just seemed to be the right location. We met with the chamber this morning, and they were the location kinda seemed very favorable with them. So,
That would be that would take away parking for a non-electric car.
2 spots, yeah. Yep. And not being around town all day and everything, I really don't know how much that parking lot is used throughout the day. Is it full? Do residents park there in the evenings?
And there's a few of the apartments, there's probably 4 or 5 cars there overnight,
Is there?
maybe 6.
Okay. So, but that was our best location, and, you know, this is all up for discussion still, like I said, we're just taking tiny baby steps here. So we met with the chamber, and we went over this the same thing. Now, it was suggested that we, to run this thing, and this is really weird, it was a shocker, but the electricity used for these for an entire year, and this was an average, was like only $1,000 a year. It was really cheap, really, really cheap. And it was suggested that maybe, you know, if we could get some sponsors to put up that $1,000, you know, we can get advertisement up there and everything else like that. And so we thought, well, that's not bad, let's just talk to the chamber and see what they say. So we had a meeting today with the chamber, and we went through this, and, Nancy just handed me a letter. If I get it. That said that the chamber board would agree to allocate $1,000 a year for the first year to cover the cost of providing the utility. So, they're gonna, provide, you know, if it goes over $1,000, I don't believe it will. I don't have a solution for that, but, I think that $1,000 is high. It's a high point, because I don't really think that many people are gonna use it right away, because knowing it's there, it's gonna take a while to get out. So,
Knowing that it's there actually will get out a lot faster than you think in
Well-
terms of, yeah. They're, like the PlugShare app that you showed, as soon as we tell PlugShare that it's there, it goes out, and everybody that drives an electric car knows to check that app to see if there's anything in the area. It is not likely that we're gonna have people come to town just to abuse the
Right.
charger. But it would be a draw for people who are in the area or think, you know, I've never been to Casson, but now I can charge while I am there.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
from that perspective, it would get known relatively quickly.
That's what Darren said. You should have seen him, he was all hyped up about this, this is fantastic, he is excellent. And he also mentioned that there was different types of plugs that you have to use for his house and for the regular ones. And he always keeps one in his car for it.
Yep.
Picks it up. So. I don't know what else I can say, what else can I say?
well, to me, the second point is, on average, while those people are charging, they're going to be in the area, in the stores, whatever, 50 more minutes, so hopefully spending money and, you know, being used as an economic development tool, and, so none of this has been budgeted. Some history with Green Steps, which we are a Green Step 2 city, but a lot of that was the low-hanging fruit, things that was to do without a cost to the city, things that might have already been done. One of the first things right away was, related to parks and trees, and we've been a tree city for over 30 years, so, I mean, they have a whole list. It's not like just one thing, it's a group of things to meet this, and we are trying to work on our third step. But, that's the point, is we're moving into more more difficult things to get their step city, and this is one of those costs, and now will this satisfy one check? Not necessarily, but, it's believed that this is, you know, the direction the city could be going in, and there's a lot of enthusiasm for it. So the point is that we haven't budgeted for this, so it's an ask. Electric and Public Works was asked on behalf of their budgets if it could come out of electric, but they, you know, the full well, it's council's decision if they choose to fund this, where it might be funded from, if not electric as well. So that's the ask is for $3,000 to $5,000 for the level 2 charger and $20,000 for the fast charger, whatever the city's wishes are, or if you want more research to be done, or if you want somebody from CERC to come, the Clean Energy Resource Team. We've got a lot of our information from them, along with other input and other interested parties over the last couple of years.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why don't they make a charger with a card swipe, so they are billed for the use?
I believe they do.
Well, you have to pay extra for that, and that's what kept this cost down, is we weren't going to be charging for it. Now, we might have to do that with the Tesla. We didn't get the full information on how much, or for the fast charger, how much electricity is used in a normal fast charger. But that was one of the things that made the cost really so much higher before, is to put in a way for people to pay. It's expensive to have the hardware and the software.
There's an app out there too that you can have on your phone. You type in your location, you plug in your car, and then it automatically charges it to your phone, or however
Yeah,
that
we need
works.
to investigate that.
Yeah. So there's
Second
other
point,
things.
we've wired 6 Tesla stations, and we know that they have a program, Tesla does, that they will somehow offset the cost
Okay.
for installation, because they've done it at 4 hotels in Rochester, 1 in Red Wing, and 1 in Austin, that's going in this year.
Okay.
The way that works, to my understanding, is you have to provide 2 spots. They're dedicated Tesla-only charging spots, because Tesla has a proprietary charging system. You can't slap an adapter on that and charge a Nissan Leaf. It would only charge a Tesla. So and at one point, they were providing those chargers for free to hotels and others that would do it as a destination charger. If they're still doing that, it is something we could look into. I don't know, I would assume, based on the way the hotels do it, it's a free service that's provided to guests of the hotel.
Right.
So again, we would be paying for the electricity. But if the point is to try to lure Nissan Leaf drivers and BMW drivers and other electric car drivers, that won't lure anybody other than someone who's already got a slightly longer range battery, more than likely, to begin with.
So you can't adapt them?
No. They are totally proprietary.
They are special people then?
It's, I mean, all you want.
Right.
But that's part of why that car is selling like it is, because they do have the charging
Yeah.
network. But with something like this, you are able to charge a wider variety of cars, and it can be adapted to, as far as I know, any electric car.
Right.
But you can just still do the Tesla too,
You-
because it
right,
has the adapting
because I
plug,
have
but
an
it just
adapter.
takes longer, that's all.
Right. So this is, it is more of it is a charger that is designed to get someone to come to town with the goal of spending some time in town.
Yeah.
And spending some of their money while they are in town.
And that's interesting, Lonnie, because, like I said, this is kind of new to us, and we're just kind of, I love the ideas. I mean, there's got to be a lot more information. Like, does Excel have some kind of program, or do any utility companies have any type of programs for discounts or something else like that, you know?
That's
So
something that.
This is something we really got to dig into.
They're touchy about that. They're kind of more into their own solar farms, that kind of thing right now. They've kind of left the car charging thing at Tesla to individual towns, motels.
There are sometimes some grants available, but there's not any that we're aware of right now, because it's not just Tesla that might do it sometimes, but it comes and goes, so we're not aware of any at the moment.
Yeah. Information, I hope was a little more clear than mud, but I just, wanted you to know this is what we'd like to try and start doing. And, with the chamber jumping on board, which is really nice, we're just gonna ask you guys to mull it over, see what we can come up with, and then, move forward. And I really think it would benefit the city, I think it would.
The nice thing is that it would enable people that are perhaps visiting the clinic who have an electric car, who don't have a longer range, to be able to come to our town without having to suffer from what we call range anxiety. Will they be able to make it back to wherever they're staying and plug it back in?
Most people visiting the clinic can't walk 5 blocks to the clinic because they're sick.
But you do have, there are other people who do come for other reasons, and,
Dogs.
yeah.
I think that's who we approach though, is the private businesses in the area. So if we can identify areas where it makes sense for our infrastructure to have like easy access to the electric service that we need.
Mm-hmm.
Good point, Mayo Clinic would directly benefit the people parking there, people on the east side of town, so I think we lean on the chamber a little more. I'll do that a little bit. This is benefiting private business, so commit to $1,000 a year or whatever the electricity cost is. I don't know if it's right for the city to subsidize the electric cost.
They've already
Right.
approved it. It's a matter of who pays
For
for
1 year.
it. Oh, for 1 year, but.
For 1
I
year,
still
right,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah,
But then we
true,
also gotta
true.
come up with the cost of the charger installation.
Yes.
I mean, we can put the infrastructure in, but the actual usage of it, I think we need to
Yeah,
lean on private
I
business to pay
believe
for
we
it.
could keep the chamber up on it, I think they would, because the way they were talking about it today, they were just like, wow, this is cool, and real enthusiastic about it, so. it's like,
And it is
all right.
a rapidly growing segment of the automotive market.
Right, yep. And there's a lot of new cars out, just read an article today about Ford Mustangs coming out.
Mhm.
Jaguar's got them, BMW got them, I mean, they all the big boys got them, and pretty soon it's all gonna be here. And it's steadily, by 2040, they're saying it's pretty much gonna be even, electric vehicles and regular commercial, so.
What's
It's
the
coming up.
What's the lifespan of a charger?
The Charger, maintain it, I would assume it would last for quite some time.
Good question, we'll
You know,
find
we
that
can
out.
find that out. Yep.
Somebody drives off with it.
The batteries, yeah, the batteries in the cars are getting better. My Fusion Hybrid, my battery's guaranteed for life, there's just, they're getting better and better with them.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for long, yep.
All right, on to, for public forum, Matt. Just come up to name and address, then.
Matt Leff, address 61748 257th Avenue in Manorville. Got a rental property here in town. I had the rent tenants there. I had them come down to the city, set up their account, which they did the deposit and filled out everything the city asked them to get on it. Lo and behold, after they had left, I got a notice that I owed, I don't know, I might, $786.86, because they didn't pay their utilities. They had already left, so they got their deposit back. It just kinda bugged me that I'm getting stuck with their utility bill when I've never was notified. And, doesn't seem right, I guess.
Okay. Just in the policy for a while, can you set up a time to come see Nancy, so you can go over that with you?
Yeah, and then I stopped in before, no one really said, they said, they asked where their address was, and
Right.
I
I
gave
think
them
you
my
gotta try to
address.
notify them as much as you can, but, so,
Right.
I don't wanna interrupt you, ultimately, the landlord is responsible for the tenants. If the tenant skips on it, or the
Right.
utilities, if the tenant skips on it, we're kinda stuck with it.
I'm just would like to have been notified by
Sure.
the city that, you know, after, once their deposit's even been met, I mean, why is it $1,000? I'm guessing the $200 is part of taken off of the $786, so it's probably $986.
Right.
So why is it $1,000 before they're still got utilities?
Can I ask
Yeah,
a question?
yeah.
How long do you hold their deposit? Say they're moving out the 1st of March,
Until it's cleaned out, I'd probably a month.
a month. How long before we know, how long is it delinquent before we know?
It's
2 months?
2 or 3, because, you know, it's not even delinquent until after the first 30 days, and then
Right.
you give them time and whatnot, and we do try and send a letter to the landlord, a delinquent letter to the landlord. But with, you can see with a lot of these bills, by the time they're gone, it's a good couple of months worth practically, especially if there's partial months involved with those final billings. So
Sure.
we're doing our best, we're gonna keep trying to do better, but if you'd like to come by City Hall, we can talk about it more.
Is there a way when they send a tenant down here to set up a rental, that you automatically know who the landlord is, so it's on file, so you don't?
Well, we know, 'cause that's
We should
on,
have
that's
it,
in
yeah.
the
But if
bill.
you didn't get
That's
a
why
letter,
I didn't get
so-
anything except that I owed $900 or
So see what I'm saying,
$786.
if you're sending
And
if it gets delinquent,
that's like I don't know how long, it doesn't say how long the utility's been going on, but $900, I've lived here, and $900 gets you a long way, it's on the utility bills.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it's
that's
the nature
almost a
of
year.
the tenant, but yeah, we could talk about
Right.
that, and we are trying to, but yeah, usually by the time it gets to this point, some bills can be pretty high. So if you look at the list, so,
Sure.
but why don't you come in and we'll talk?
Okay, well, I did come in a couple times, and all I got was not too much, but.
Okay, well, come see me.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Matt,
Thanks.
appreciate it. F2, we added the park board update, Dan?
just one quick thing, last night we were talking a little bit, they've got, 54 applicants right now that they're gonna be interviewing for the pool, starting on December 23rd, 26th, 30th, and 31st. And their goal is to get 60 to 70, so there's still room for people to apply for that. There also was just a little discussion on the wall last night, and there was other options brought up, and I'll put it on the agenda for the council to discuss more at the next meeting, just some of the things that was brought up.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and Ronnie did say they applied for the 40 years of Tree City USA, and he wanted to say thank you to the council for approving the budget, so they can move forward to working on next year.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Brandon, did you have anything at all?
Nope.
All right. Would we be able to get I forwarded you an email from a gentleman who lives on Third last week, did you get that?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I'll re-forward it to you. Could we get an update at the next meeting in January on, where we're at, what we could do with Maston Creek now that it's froze up, as far as cleaning out some of that debris that's piled up, as far as getting that out, so it's not a flood.
Sure.
Barrier in the spring when it starts to break up, just kind of what our options could be on that.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Attorney, we're gonna go to a closed session to discuss the Thompson Special Assessment lawsuit/appeal. We'll open the meeting up when we're done. Is that gonna be recorded? No. That is not gonna be recorded, so we'll clear the chambers and open back up.